Keep your forks ready because dessert is on the way. The best is yet to come for the Denver Broncos. Things just keep getting better as they board a plane to Buffalo for a winner-go-home playoff showdown. For the past decade, all we've wanted is Denver Broncos playoff football, and now that it's here, I'm starting to wonder, why did I wish for this? I don't think I'll actually enjoy the game until it's over. Let me know in the comments, will you be able to enjoy the game until the final whistle? Honestly, I'd need the Broncos to be up by 21 points in the fourth quarter before I could start to relax. Until then, I'll be pacing around, stressed out. The thought that our season could end with a loss is just too much to handle. But here's the good news. We're getting some exciting updates. Coach Sean Payton had a great press conference before the Buffalo game, and we're hearing stories about this team that remind us of the last time the Broncos didn't just make the playoffs, but went all the way to the Super Bowl. We'll break it all down today, plus some All-Pro news, and so much more. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps me out in the algorithm. And don't forget, some of our beloved players got snubbed from the Pro Bowl, so we'll dive into that too. The Pro Bowl voting is a mix of different people having a say. Players, coaches, and fans all get to vote. The problem is, some fans vote for players just because they saw them in a commercial or because they're dating Taylor Swift. So, making the Pro Bowl isn't always about the best players. What really matters for players is making the AP All-Pro team. Unlike the Pro Bowl, which is divided by AFC and NFC, the All-Pro team is simply about being one of the very best at your position, no matter what division you're in. If you make the All-Pro team, it means you're truly elite. Here's something cool. The Denver Broncos have the most All-Pro players awarded since 1996. That's an amazing stat. It reminds us of the 1997-98 Broncos, who went on to win back-to-back Super Bowls. In fact, that 96 team, which lost a heartbreaking game to the Jaguars, is often seen as the turning point. After that loss, guys like John Elway and Alfred Williams said it was that defeat that fueled their drive to multiple championships. The Broncos now have 5 All-Pro players this year, which ties with that 96 team. That's impressive, especially when you think about the last time the Broncos went to the Super Bowl, or when Peyton Manning was shattering records. And let's not forget, we also broke NFL records when we lost to the Seattle Seahawks in that Super Bowl. But here's the key. Despite that loss, this is exactly why we can't count this team out against the Buffalo Bills. The Broncos have 5 players who are among the best at their positions. That's huge news. What makes it even better? These aren't just veterans at the tail end of their careers or guys heading into retirement. All 5 of our All-Pro players are under 28 years old. That's incredible. This is exactly what Sean Payton means when he says the team is young, hungry, and dangerous. If you think about it, these players are only going to keep improving. Look at what happens if guys like Javonte Williams continue to peak the way we've seen, or if Marvin Mims starts producing like a true wide receiver, not just a returner like we've seen over the past couple of games. Then, think about how Nick Bonitto keeps growing. We could be looking at a future where this team sets records for the number of All-Pros they produce. With so many young stars on the rise, this could be just the beginning. Plus, we've got most of these players locked in on contracts for the long haul. I wouldn't be surprised if we throw big money at Nick Bonitto this offseason to keep him around. But let's break that down a little more. It's not just the 5 guys under 28 who made the All-Pro team. We also had several other players who received votes for All-Pro, which shows how much respect the Broncos are getting around the league. It's great to see guys like Garrett Balls, one of the best left tackles in the game, and Brandon Jones, who stepped up after we moved on from Justin Simmons this offseason. He's now getting All-Pro votes. Courtland Sutton, of course, deserves it too. And let's not forget our long snapper and fullback. They're getting the recognition they deserve as well. This is fantastic news because the All-Pro team is so much more meaningful than the Pro Bowl. To have 5 players on that list, especially when we can say we've matched the 1996 team, is incredible. We're in a great spot to give the Buffalo Bills a serious challenge. And here's another reason why I'm feeling extra confident heading into Sunday's game. All week, I've been listening to DMVR, and I highly recommend you check them out if you're not already subscribed. They are by far my favorite Broncos content channel. Of course, I love all the Broncos content, but DMVR stood out this week by featuring a different member of the Super Bowl 50 championship team every day. Todd Davis, one of the hosts, had some great guests on, like Von Miller, Brock Osweiler, and Virgil Green. It was amazing to hear from these guys, especially Virgil, who's now coaching, but was such a solid tight end for us, especially when it came to blocking. They each shared some amazing stories about that Super Bowl 50 team, and I was blown away by how much it lined up with what Sean Payton said today. That's really exciting news. If the Super Bowl 50 champions are saying, "Hey, this is what helped us win the big game," and then Sean Payton is saying, "Here's what our team is like right now," and you see the same traits in both, that's awesome. One thing that stood out was when they asked Sean Payton why he thinks the Broncos are ready to beat the Buffalo Bills. He said it's because the team is battle-tested. They've been through tough games, had their fair share of close calls, and now have a stronger mindset going into this one. Payton also pointed out that the Broncos have a higher point differential against playoff teams, which is a solid indicator of their strength. Virgil Green, who was on the DMVR podcast, was asked by Zach Stevens, who's been covering the Broncos through thick and thin over the past 7 years, what the biggest difference was between the Super Bowl 50 team and the team that lost to the Seattle Seahawks. Virgil's answer was telling. "The year we lost to the Seahawks, we dominated everyone all season. But when the Seahawks punched us in the mouth, we weren't prepared to respond. On the other hand, when we faced the Panthers in the Super Bowl, we were ready for that challenge. We were completely battle-tested. We'd been through tough games, like the one where they had to fight till the end to clinch the #1 seed against Cincinnati. So when Sean Payton says, 'We're battle-tested,' and then Virgil Green backs it up by saying, 'You have to be battle-tested to win big games,' that's exactly why I'm feeling confident. It's the same mentality that helped the Broncos shock the world in Super Bowl 50. And I truly believe this team is going to do the same thing, starting with shocking the Bills this week." Another great moment came when Brock Osweiler was on the show a couple of days ago, and his insights really lined up with what Payton said. Brock talked about his biggest on-field memory from that Super Bowl 50 season, and he said, "Unlike any other team I've been on, that team played for each other." Sean Payton echoed those exact same words today. It's amazing how those ideas are perfectly aligned. I also watched interviews with Von Miller, now with the Buffalo Bills, and Josh Allen, and you can tell they talk about playing for each other too. But here's the thing. The Broncos have been showing that same mentality, and it's one of the reasons they won Super Bowl 50. The parallels are undeniable. And don't forget, this year we've got more All-Pros on this team than we did back then. Plus, we've played solid in every single game. We've been in so many one-score games this season, and I truly believe that guys like Benito are going to get better with each game. We also know that Sean Payton is going to bring his A-game when it comes to calling plays. Peter Schrager came out today and said we can expect Payton to throw everything he has at the wall in this game. And don't be surprised to see some trick plays. I think we're going to see more of Benito as a runner this week because, at this point, there's nothing to hold back. We're going all in against the Buffalo Bills, and I'm excited to see what comes of it. It's going to be an exciting, all-out effort. On top of that, we're seeing some amazing numbers come from the advanced analytics. Marvin Mims has been blowing people away, not just as a returner, but as a wide receiver. Over the last 2 games against the Bengals and the Chiefs, Mims scored 2 touchdowns in each of them. He also reached the highest miles per hour of any wide receiver in the NFL this season. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some creative plays involving Mims this week. The Broncos are going to empty the clip on the Bills, and Mims could be a big part of that. And here's the thing that sets this team apart. Sean Payton. If you had to choose between Payton and Sean McDermott, who would you pick? Another interesting stat I saw shows the projected points for each team versus what they actually scored this season. Payton has consistently delivered more than expected, and I think that's going to be the difference in this game. Now, if you look at how much over the Vegas line each team has scored, it's clear that Sean Payton has been outplaying expectations. The Broncos traded a first and second round pick to bring him in, and other than Dan Campbell, Payton has exceeded everyone's expectations this season. If you try to find the Buffalo Bills on this list, it's tough, because they're nowhere near where Payton's Broncos are in terms of outperforming projections. That's an amazing stat. The Broncos have the better coach, the better defense, and I honestly think our wide receivers are better than the Bills. When it comes to the gap between Josh Allen and Benito, it's not as big as people might think. We have the better offensive line, and most importantly, we are battle-tested. The Bills, much like the Broncos in the year we lost to the Seattle Seahawks, have cruised through the league without facing too much adversity. But this Broncos team, we're ready for the challenge. We're battle-tested and prepared to shock the world. So I want to hear from you. What's your score prediction for the Broncos versus the Bills? We've got so much to believe in right now, and tomorrow's the big day for us to prove it.